My grandmother spent 71 years building something: a house, a savings account, a life. She raised 6 children in that house, buried a husband from that house, grew tomatoes in the backyard of that house every single summer until she was 84 years old. When she passed away, she left everything to me, not to my mother, not to my aunts and uncles, not to any of the 6 children she raised, to me, her granddaughter. And the moment that we'll read out loud, my family turned into people I had never seen before, people I didn't recognize, people who would do things I still have trouble saying out loud. This is the story of what my family did when they found out what Grandma left behind, and the secret she kept from all of us that changed absolutely everything. Part 1. Grandma Rose. Let me tell you about my grandmother. Her name was Rose Ellen Calloway, born 1938 in rural Kentucky, married at 19, 6 kids by 32, widowed at 54 when my grandfather had a heart attack on a Tuesday morning. She never remarried, said once was enough for a lifetime of real love. I was her youngest grandchild, the only one who lived close enough to visit regularly. Every Sunday for 12 years, I drove 40 minutes to her house. We would drink sweet tea on the porch, watch her stories on television, play cards until one of us fell asleep. Most Sundays, that was her. She would doze off mid-sentence, and I would cover her with a blanket and do her dishes before I left. My mother, her youngest daughter, always said I was wasting my Sundays. She doesn't even know what day it is half the time, my mother would say. You could be doing something useful. But I kept going, every single Sunday, not because I expected anything, because I loved her. Rose passed away on a Thursday morning in March, peacefully, in her own bed, exactly the way she wanted. She was 86 years old, and 3 days later, I found out why she had asked me to sit with her attorney the previous October. Part 2. The will. The reading of the will happened on a Monday afternoon. Small conference room, attorney named Mr. Holt, gray suit, kind eyes. My mother was there, all 5 of her siblings, their spouses, a handful of cousins, 14 people total crammed into a room that comfortably seated 8. I sat in the corner quietly. I had no idea what was coming. Mr. Holt cleared his throat and began reading. The house, valued at $340,000, left to me. The savings account, $127,000 accumulated over 40 years, left to me. The jewelry collection, including my grandfather's watch and Rose's diamond wedding ring, left to me. Everything, every single thing my grandmother owned, left entirely to her granddaughter, to me. The room was completely silent for about 4 seconds. Then my mother stood up, and the silence ended. Part 3. The family turns. What happened in that conference room I will never fully describe. My mother screamed. My Uncle David threw a folder across the table. My Aunt Patricia burst into tears, but not the sad kind and the furious kind. Mr. Holt sat completely still, like a man who had seen this before, probably because he had. Everyone was talking at once. This isn't legal. She wasn't in her right mind. That girl manipulated her. We'll contest this immediately. That girl. I had been that girl drinking sweet tea on the porch every Sunday for 12 years. I sat in my corner and didn't say a single word, because Mr. Holt had told me when we met in October, when this is read aloud, do not react, do not engage, let me handle everything. So I didn't. I sat completely still while my family fell apart around me. My cousin Jake, who I had been close with my whole life, wouldn't even look at me. My mother pointed at me from across the room and said, "You did this. You spent all those Sundays putting ideas in her head. You manipulated a dying old woman and you should be ashamed of yourself." I looked at my mother, took a slow breath, and said nothing. Because I knew something none of them knew yet. Something Rose had told me on a Sunday afternoon in September, sitting on that porch with 2 glasses of sweet tea and the sun going down. Something that would reframe every single thing happening in that room. Part 4. What Rose told me. Let me take you back to that September Sunday. Rose had been quieter than usual that day. We played 2 rounds of cards. She won both. She always won. Then she put her cards down and looked at me very directly in that way she had. Like she was looking slightly past your eyes and into something deeper. She said, "I need to tell you something about your mother and about the others and about why I'm doing what I'm doing." I put my cards down and I listened. Rose told me that 18 months earlier, she had been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. Not severe, not debilitating yet, but real. and progressing. She had told her children, my mother and all 5 siblings, about the diagnosis at a family dinner in January of that year. Their response? Within 2 weeks, 3 of her 6 children had called Adult Protective Services trying to have her declared legally incompetent. Not because they were worried about her, because if she was declared incompetent, they could take control of her estate immediately, while she was still alive. Rose found out through her attorney, who had been contacted as part of the process. She sat with that information for 3 months. Then she called Mr. Holt and rewrote her entire will. "They didn't come to help me," Rose said quietly that September afternoon. "They came for the house. I've known it for years, but I needed to see it for myself before I believed it completely." She reached over and put her hand on mine. "You never asked me for a single thing in 12 years of Sundays, not once. That's why." I didn't know what to say, so I just held her hand until the sun went down completely. Part 5. The twist nobody saw coming. Back in that conference room, while my family raged around me and Mr. Holt waited patiently, my Uncle David said something that changed the entire energy of the room. He said, "She was diagnosed with dementia. This will was written after the diagnosis. It's invalid. A demented woman cannot make legal decisions. We'll have this thrown out in 30 days. Several people nodded. My mother sat back down with a satisfied expression. Mr. Holt waited for complete silence. Then he opened a second folder. He said, "I anticipated this challenge. Rose anticipated this challenge, which is why she underwent a formal psychiatric evaluation conducted by 2 independent physicians the same week she signed this will. Both physicians certified in writing that Rose Ellen Calloway was of complete and sound mind at the time of signing. Furthermore," he paused, "Rose also left a recorded video message to be played in the event that her competency was challenged." He turned his laptop around, and there was Rose, sitting in her living room, sweet tea on the table, looking directly into the camera, completely sharp, completely present, completely herself. She looked at the camera and said, "If you're watching this, it means my children did exactly what I expected them to do. I want you to know that I am of completely sound mind. I want you to know that I know exactly what each of you tried to do 18 months ago. I want you to know that I forgive you, but I also want you to know that forgiveness and reward are 2 very different things. Take care of my roses, and take care of each other, even when it's hard." The video ended. The room was completely silent. My mother had both hands over her mouth. Uncle David was staring at the table, and I was trying very hard not to cry and mostly failing. Part 6. Aftermath. The legal challenge never happened. With 2 psychiatric certifications and a recorded video statement, there was nothing to challenge. 3 of my aunts and uncles eventually reached out and apologized privately. Genuine apologies, the kind that cost something. My mother took 8 months. When she finally called me, she didn't say sorry directly. She said, "I didn't know she knew about what we tried to do. I didn't know she knew." That was the closest she could get to an apology that day. I accepted it, because Rose asked me to take care of each other, even when it's hard. I sold the savings account and used part of it to restore the porch where we used to drink sweet tea. I kept the house. I planted tomatoes in the backyard last summer. They grew better than I expected. I think Rose would have liked that. Outro. I want to leave you with something that Rose said to me once on one of those Sunday afternoons. She said, "People show you who they are when something is on the line. Love them anyway, but see them clearly." I think about that a lot, because the people in that conference room weren't monsters. They were just people who let fear and greed show them for a moment at their very worst. And some of them found their way back, some didn't. But I know who I am, and I know what 12 years of Sundays really cost me. Nothing. And what they gave me. Everything. If this story hit differently than you expected, drop a comment below. Would you have contested the will if you were in their position? Or would you have walked away? I genuinely want to know. Subscribe to Hally Vault for a brand new story every single week. See you in the next one.